Okay, so I'm here with James Kelly, who is an Australian based in, where are you based, mate?
Brisbane, Queensland.
Mate, I actually didn't know that, by the
Uh,
way. For some
uh,
reason, I thought you was in Sydney. So James is a high rocks athlete, been doing it for what, since October, your first race, right?
yeah, 6 months. Yeah, so I'm fresh as well, mate. Yeah, new to the high rocks game, but absolutely loving it.
And you've been, how many races you done now? You done two, three?
I've done three. Yep, done three. Got two more in the next month as well. So really excited.
And your first race was literally the same race as my first race, right? That's how I heard about you. So for those who are listening, James is my coach. I thought it'd be really cool to get him on the podcast and have a chat about all things High Rocks. We're massive diehard High Rocks fans. Um, yeah, I remember seeing the results from Birmingham in October last year, and saw this Australian guy's rocked up, done his first race, ran it under an hour. Actually, mate, I saw you on the results list, but I was listening to you on the Rocks Life podcast, and I was like, I need to have a chat with this guy about coaching and get to know you a bit more. And I think, yeah, I'm really glad I did. So yeah, mate, tell us about those races then. So you did Birmingham, and then you went to London. What, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Birmingham was my first one, and I've you know going back and thinking about my High Rocks journey so far. It's funny because I told Ian from the UK OCR podcast that I was going in blind. I thought I knew what High Rocks was, but like going in blind, pretty much I did probably 6 weeks of specific high rocks training, but at the time I didn't know exactly what a specific high rocks training was. So I was coming off an Aussie rules season. For those of you who don't know, that's the Australian football, which is very I guess very similar to football, soccer, in relations to how much running and how much fartlek style running you have to do on game day and training wise. So I was coming off a really good season of Aussie rules. So my running threshold was pretty well, but had no idea about the sleds, had no idea about the farmers carry, wall balls, etc., etc. But lo and behold, like I still remember rocking up to Birmingham, and the best thing about that, I had in my head, I had nothing to lose. Like I didn't know anyone. I rocked up. I was I was confident enough to go pro straight up, and next minute I was um I was the winner, and I was crowned the first sub 60 pro athlete on debut. Sorry, so I'm the first and only debut athlete that has gone sub 60, and it's funny because I talk to my athletes a lot about the mentality behind racing, and I look at that race for me very, very highly because I was going in with nothing to lose. I had no one watching me in a way. Like I didn't care about any of that stuff. So I think 3 weeks later we had London, and there was a bit of hype around myself versus Tim from Germany, and not that it got to me, but if I look back at it now, I didn't have. I said this to Ian the other day. I didn't have the right game plan. I didn't respect him as an athlete as much as I should have. So I went out and tried to lead him in London, and I fell flat on my on my stomach because I just couldn't keep up with him. So
Mm.
those were my two first races, and then I was lucky enough to be able to go to Cologne 2 weeks ago and race in that epic race with really quality athletes. Ended up coming fifth behind Tim and Tobias, and then Bo Willis from New Zealand, and then Tom Hogan. And ultimately, my PB now is 59.01. And it's just slightly out of the Elite 15.
Mm.
But
That's
I've
one
got
thing I
one
wanted to
more
chat
race.
about. I wanted to chat about the Elite
Yeah,
15 a bit more on this, but because that was the reason you went there, right? You went there because you were what? Where were you sat 17th or 19th at the time?
I was 19th at the time with a
Yeah,
59.53.
yeah,
And then now, funnily enough, I'm 17th now with a 59.01.
yeah. Because you were
So
in the Elite 15 for a while, and then it got later, and people. I think it was the Barcelona race, right? It dropped you down a bit because a lot of athletes rocked up to that race and got some strong times that bumped you down a bit, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And obviously the famous Hunter McIntyre's come back and produced the goods, and a lot of other athletes have done the same. So yeah, but long story short, I've still got Hong Kong in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks time to try and get back in,
Mm.
and really looking forward to that.
And would you say, mate, so like it's interesting because you said a minute ago about, you rocked up to Birmingham, you had no idea really, you'd done it for a bit, 6 weeks, a bit of training, you've got this Aussie rules background, so you kind of like, yeah, this thing might suit me. You obviously would have looked into it a little bit and like, yeah, I can probably do all right at this thing. Rocked up, no expectation, nailed it, won, and then all of a sudden the spotlight's on you, and then all of a sudden you've got this, oh, I'm in the Elite 15. Now it's like, would you say that goal then to stay in the Elite 15 came from that? Because you're like, I'm good enough to be there. You know you're good enough to be there because day one, as long as your mindset's right on race day, you can perform. I'm pretty sure you already know that you can do better than what you just did in Cologne. But would you say that Elite 15 goal came from because of what you did at Birmingham, or would you say that was always a goal?
No, definitely from Birmingham, because I was going to Birmingham because one, I wanted a holiday. I had a 4 week holiday plan.
Mm,
But also I love going on holidays with a race, whether it is a running race or a competition here and there or something like that. So like now that I did Birmingham, obviously I think I was ranked third for a while or second for a while um, across late last year. Knowing that, it really it really got to me that I was like, hang on, like this sport could really be right up my alley. And that kind of that that stems from not only what happened in Birmingham, but me as an athlete for years and years, and how I got brought up. I've been competitive with myself and with my sports and fitness for so long. Everything that I do, also, I want to win. My partner Georgie and I have have a bit of banter behind, who can get up to the house quicker.
mm,
And
mm,
I'm just so competitive with everything. So long story short, mate, I did Birmingham, saw that I was third in the world for a while. Well, you know what? I want to be first
mm,
in the world. And yeah, slowly but surely, I've got sucked into high rocks as a sport, as a coach now as well, and I absolutely love it.
mm,
And the best
mm,
thing is like I'm really fresh, and
mm.
I'm evolving with the sport myself. Yeah,
Mate, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay, so you're a year younger than me. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you still got
I,
time on your side as well. You're still young enough to be really progressing, and with the background that you've got, you can, you know, within the next 5 years, you can get some really, really good results. What would you say your ultimate
yeah.
goal is for it? Is it to be like the world champion, or do you have like a specific time that you'd like to hit?
Look, like absolutely. My ultimate high rocks goal is to be the world champion. Yeah. Um, I think and not only elite 15 athletes, but I think everyone, like, if they're not shooting for the stars, let's just say, like, what are you doing, so to speak? Now, you can kind of take that literally or not, but because I'm a 59 minutes pro athlete, 3 races deep only, mate, why can't I think about really having a crack at the podium, if not worlds in years to come? You know,
Yeah.
I'm fresh, so that's where my mindset is. I'm really, really enjoying the sport, enjoying the process of training for it. And not only that, I've been able to create in a short period of time a really quality business and a really quality team around myself as well. So yeah, mate, to answer your question, I'm the first to say, like, I wanna take that crown off the old McIntyre.
Mate, it's funny what you just said there about like the time, you know, that you're really into it now, whatever, and you're only 3 races in. I think it's crazy. I think what was you did like a 103 for you in London, right? Was it 103? Something like that?
101, almost
Ah,
102.
right, okay. So
Yeah.
you're running a 101, 102 in your second race. I think what did you get? You finished like third or something overall, is that right? So
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
done a first, a third, and a fifth with all very, very good times. You've only raced it 3 times and you've been in it less than a year. I was chatting with Tim last week about his High Rocks journey, and he's been doing it from the second ever High Rocks race. Granted, he started very young. He actually told me his age wrong on the podcast. He told me he's 23 and then texted me afterwards, says, "Mate, sorry, I'm 24." I don't know how he got that wrong. But anyway,
Right.
it's too much focus on training if he got his own age. But he was saying like he went to he's grown with the sport, right? He went there in 20, I think his first race he said was 2018. So he's been doing it since then. Did you hear what he said his time was for his first race in the pro division?
Yeah, I listened to Tim's podcast, and I think it was 117,
One
115,
one
or
117. 117 for someone who's just run a 56.07. And like it just shows what time in the sport and like almost like repetition and learning your weaknesses and taking advantage of your strengths. It just shows that, you know, time, it's like everything, right? You spend the time. And I used to do it with Spartan racing. You know, my first Spartan races, I used to be dreadful. And then I started to work my way up and start to like race in the elites, you know, with the elites and start to do all right. But that was done over years. You know, you're in it less than a year, you're already up there with these elite guys. You're battling it out to try and get back into the top 15 in the world, and you're in your first year. And I know there is a handful of guys in that elite 15 that are relatively new as well, but I think that can almost come from their background, right? What your background is, it kind of suits. It kind of has a lot of carryover. This is what I love about High Rocks, by the way. I think there's so much crossover between so many sports. And it's like you've come in from an Aussie rules background, and then you've just got to kind of tweak it towards High Rocks. But then I'm of the opinion of someone like a triathlete, because they're used to running compromised, they just need to build some strength and they'd be good. Like if you get a really, really good triathlete, put them into High Rocks, and as long as they've got a decent amount of strength, they can move a sled. And then it's also then if you get a CrossFitter that like a really good CrossFitter that can run really well, then then we've got all these different types of athletes. There's a huge crossover. OCR athletes, more and more Spartan athletes, OCR athletes are getting involved. I just think these are the handful of people in that, like I'd say the top, say 50 athletes in the pro division. I would say a bunch of them are from a different sporting background. You know, they're not just like fresh off I go to the gym and now I'm going to try this High Rocks thing. I think there's another Aussie guy, I can't remember his name. He did a 50, I think he was there in Barcelona. I think he podium top three.
yeah,
Yeah,
John Wynn. Yeah.
yeah. So he's from, is he ex-Marines?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to the podcast with him on the Rocks Life podcast, and I was thinking like, that's mindset. The guy runs a 37-minute, I think a 37 and a half minute 10K, which is not, if you compare that to most of the guys in the elite 15, it's not that fast, but he is there producing those sort of times now in Barcelona. And I think that's probably more of a mindset thing that he's built in the Marines, which I think for High Rocks is, almost like one of the biggest things. You can build the fitness, you can build the strength, but because it just sucks for the whole hour, let's say, having that sort of like mentality going into it. And I think I'm of the opinion that he does so well because he's just got that. He's probably can just suffer for a long time because he's been used to that with his Marines training. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. And that kind of stems on like, I talk to my athletes about this, mentality behind racing and my job as a coach, and also when I'm rocking up to the start line is I've done my job. If my athletes are rocking up to the start line, having the confidence in their head that they've done the work, that their body and their fitness is going to produce the goods on game day. And the only thing that can help that is progress over time and consistency over time. And when we say time, as you just said, mate, years and years of consistent training is the only thing that can build that mental confidence. So someone like John Wynn, he's obviously come from a military style background and military style structure of life, not just training. He's got that in the back of his head that, you know what, a Hyrox race for him is probably mentally a walk in the park.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hear of like that kind of, gets me onto like the topic of like, you hear of a lot of people that have gone through hardship in their life, whether it is losing loved ones or trauma, like, personal trauma. They're the ones that ultimately sometimes can be very good at pain tolerance and being able to put up with the suck and the hurt, So yeah, I could go on for days about the mentality behind rocking up to a race and the training and the process and the structure involved. That is so crucial,
Mate, it just made me think of one of the questions I've got written down for you. So, it's race day. I know you've only done three, but what's the sort of thing on race morning or, an hour before the race? What's going through your mind? Any sort of like mantra that you tell yourself, or what sort of things are you thinking? I know obviously you said Birmingham, it was just like, I'm going to rock up and smash this thing. And I can almost like, it's like when a kid goes to a start line of a race, they're just going to hammer themselves because they're not expecting anything. And then I can almost like imagine what that was like for Birmingham. But then the spotlight's on you for London. Even a bigger spotlight then is on you for Cologne because you're trying to get back into the Elite 15. What's going through your head?
One thing that I've learned about my lead up and my preparation, let's just say on race day, is that I've learned, and not only through racing and my functional fitness competitions that I've done for years, and also my Aussie rules background, I want to make sure that my energy is still the exact same, and my vibe is kind of penetrating who I am. So what I mean by that is, I don't chuck my headphones in and not talk to anyone. I'm a very kind of charismatic. I want to talk to people. I want to actually feel the vibe of others. So long story short, I'm getting. I want to make sure that I'm getting a lot of energy from rocking up to the event, and from actually, from other people and from other athletes. So I'm never in the corner doing my own thing or like anything like that. On top of that, I'm enjoying it. Like, I think the best moment of Hyrox for me is that 2-minute countdown before you're starting the race. Like, I love that. Like, and I think a lot of people should learn to try and embrace that energy, because there's so much energy in that huddle, So I'm really trying to be myself by talking to people, feeling the energy, feeling the vibe, but also in my head, I've got a couple of things that I think about, and I really make sure that I repeat in my head. And the first and foremost thing is like the enjoyment aspect of it. I love hurting my body. Full stop.
Mate,
It's so
for this podcast, I'm gonna cut that clip and I'm gonna post it. I love her my body.
no, but like, I'm known for years and years upon end to just love doing things that really hurt. I did when I was 19, I signed up to 6 marathons in 2 years because I just got sucked into the marathon process and training for marathons. And it's only because I just loved running and the suck of running marathons. I'm known in the Aussie rules world to not be really good at AFL at all. I have no skill whatsoever with the footy, but I'm known to just be able to just absolutely outrun anyone. So what I'm trying to get at is that embrace the enjoyment of the suck, let's just call it.
Yeah.
And the final thing that I think about is my family and my loved ones, because at the end of the day, and I say this to Georgie, my partner, before I race, at the end of the day, whether I do a good time or not, or you know what, whether I finish the race or not, at the end of the day, I still have her and I'm the happiest man alive, whatever happens after for this race. And if you keep telling yourself that, then you're diluting the pressure in your head, because at the end of the day, it's a race. If you're really happy and comfortable with yourself, number one, and you have good relationships and you love your family and they're there, then nothing else matters.
Yeah, I'd
enjoy
say
it.
Exactly, mate. I think it's very easy to get caught up as an athlete, also with like the media and when the spotlight's on you, to get like that pressure can get overwhelming. And I guess for like professional athletes who are doing like very, very high level sports, you see people break, and then obviously then it just gets worse and worse. Whereas, like you just said, mate, is if you can take it with a pinch of salt. One thing I like to tell my athletes is, all the hard work's done in training, the race is literally the celebration. Like the race is how you celebrate all that hard work. And it's a fine line between balancing, because we put all that time in and all that effort and we want it so much, we spend most of our time training or thinking about racing. It's not just like actually physically training, it's also like thinking about it a lot of the time, because when you're sat down, it's going through your mind as well, or you're seeing it on social media, and it's really easy to then let it become, it's almost like overwhelming. And those who perform the best seem to be the ones that, like a Hunter, right? He rocked back to his first race. I'm sure he didn't expect to go and break a world record. People was expecting him to come in and maybe do well, but then he goes and smashes a world record, and it's probably because there wasn't much pressure on him. Same for you, right? Birmingham, no pressure, rocked up, sub 60, first person to go sub 60 on their first ever race. You're like, oh, wicked, but then all of a sudden that spotlight's on you for the next one, and it kind of like shows what happens. You said yourself, you got into a race with Tim. One thing I wanted to pull up, I just went on Instagram. I remember seeing it the other day. Did you see the post from Ryan Kent? It's really, really interesting. And it kind of leads us on to this. It's the same sort of topic. Mate, it's a picture of him at I don't know where the race was, recently in California. It's so easy to take this racing thing more serious than we need to at times, but it seems the less I care about the outcome, the less pressure I feel, and ultimately the better I perform. No matter what happens in Manchester next month, I'm already at peace with it. I feel free when I race, and at this point in my life, that feeling is actually more meaningful than what place or time I get. And then he's put, I wish I could have seen this from this perspective earlier in my career, because I'd have probably got a lot less grey hairs. But I really like that, because it kind of like feeds into exactly what we're just talking about, right? Like less pressure, go and enjoy it, take it in, and actually ultimately you end up performing better. I've done it myself in so many races, just rock up. Best I'd say hybrid race I've done was a Deca mile. I was feeling crap. I was feeling crap at the start line. Wasn't feeling it whatsoever. I was like, oh my God, this is going to go terrible. But I really didn't care. I ended up winning. I ended up winning and beating people that I've never like they'd never beaten before, and I like shocked myself, but it's because I didn't put a pressure on myself. I was like free at the start line. I was ready to go, and I also paced
Yeah.
it better because I didn't go out like I was going to win. And I think that's definitely something that, people who race high rocks can learn as well, right? If you're going out, I think that's what happened to Hunter at the weekend, right? Went out all guns blazing, trying to set a record, and ended up pulling from the race. I've not looked too much into it, but you suspect that that's the sort of thing that happened. All the pressure was on him, the spotlight's on him to go and set a record, and then ended up pulling from the race. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mate, so I'm just going to go through these things that I've got jotted down then, and then we'll wrap up. But I've got still quite a few things. So coming back to your time then in Cologne, obviously you got a PB, so you must have been happy with that, right?
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Overall, I was. There's a few things from the race that I took away, but overall, I was very happy with a 52-second PB. Yeah.
Yeah. And would you say like things went well, if you compare it to the one in London, would you say like stations and the running was better? What would you say was like the biggest improvement? Or would you say it was what we've just been speaking about, which is like your mindset on the day? Was your mindset better? Or do you think it was just because you had more time to train and kind of like, sharpen yourself up ready for it?
A couple of things. My mindset was really strong. I was realistic, and what I mean by that is I knew Tim Venish is a great runner,
Mm,
and knowing what he can produce with his latest splits, I didn't go out with him.
mm,
I think if I well, look at my London race last year, five months ago, I just thought I could go out with him, and
mm,
I ended up blowing up a little bit. So
mm,
long story short, I was realistic coming into the race, knowing that if I wanted to do a 59 or thereabouts, I wasn't going to lead the race. And then again, I was realistic when I ended up doing another 4 minute 30 sled pull. Now,
mm,
for those of you who don't have a look at the measurements for elite 15 men athletes, but a 4 minute 30 sled pull is very slow. The guys that beat me on the day, I don't know what Tim got, but Bo, Tom Hogan, Tobias, they were all around the 3 minute to 3:30.
mm, mm,
So going into the 15th, 16th minute of the race, I was already, no matter what else, I was already a minute and a half behind them.
mm,
Right now,
mm,
what I'm saying is, straight after that, I had two options: to be really annoyed at myself and angry and let it affect my overall race, or quickly calculate on the next run what I needed to do realistically to get back into the race. And that's exactly what I did. I beat everyone else in a lot. Sorry, not everyone else, but I beat second, third, and fourth place in the burpee broad jumps, lunges, farmer's carry, and wall balls. And that was just because I had to, if I wanted to do a 59. So
mm,
assessing the situation on the fly, I was really proud of myself for that.
mm, mm,
So long story short, I've got a lot of work to do pool wise.
mm, mm,
Apart from that though, mate, like I'm just so excited that hopefully, not hopefully, but I know for a fact one day, whether it is Hong Kong, Manchester, or next season, when I race next season, I'm going to jump on that sled pull, and all this hard work that I've been doing is going to pay off. And you know what? I'll be the first to say that it won't be a 59 that I'll be doing. I'll be a 57,
yeah,
56.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I'm excited. I was a little bit annoyed slash I didn't know what to think straight after the race. But now leading into Hong Kong, I'm just not putting any pressure on it. I'm just going
mm,
to go out there and have fun as well.
mm, mm.
Um, Yeah.
Would you say in Hong Kong what's your strategy for that then? So because one of my questions was going to be like, what would you say your weaknesses? And you've already explained it. It seems like it's the sled pull. So would you say your strategy going into Hong Kong, would you say you'd attack that sled pull a bit more aggressively, or would you say you will, hit it again and then work on maybe being a bit quicker going into it or quicker coming off it? Do you reckon maybe you were going a little bit too quick going into it and that's why it took you so long because you was maybe a little bit too fatigued before you started? What do you think? What's your strategy?
Like, to be completely honest, and this just comes from confidence within my fitness and my training at the moment. It's nothing to do with the compromise before or after.
Mm,
It's I know exactly what I can hit per station. I know exactly what I'm trying to hit per running kilometer.
mm,
I'm tweaking or not tweaking because I'm not sure yet, but I'm having a look at different ways to actually do the sled pull biomechanically.
mm,
And it's only the last week or so that I've been experimenting with the 1 foot forward as opposed to
mm,
2 feet
mm,
forward
mm,
and then walking back. And I'm
mm.
really enjoying it. Apart from that, I've got a deadlift program at the moment. I'm doing everything that I can to really specifically train for the pull.
Mm,
So, my strategy going into Hong Kong is to hit my numbers that I normally do, get onto the sled pull, and then reassess after that.
yeah,
There's nothing more I can do.
yeah,
And also, I don't want to think about it too much. I don't want to think about just the sled pull
yeah.
going into the race.
7 other
It's
stations.
There's 7 other stations, but if you calculate the runs as well, it's 1/16
Mm,
of the race.
yeah,
Um, so, you know, yeah, let's just see what happens. But, I'm doing everything that I can.
yeah. Hey, one thing I just thought of while we were talking about the sled pull is weight. Like, how much do you weigh?
82
Right.
kilos.
Yeah.
Monday morning, I always weigh about 84 after a big weekend.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that could be. I know some of these, but
Yeah,
then again, you can't compare to someone like Tim because I know I didn't ask him his weight, but I know he's not a big guy. I've seen him in person, and but then you've got your hunters who are much bigger, packing on a lot more weight. And I would say from experience, I'm around the same weight as Hunter, and I would definitely say that being able to lean in, like you spoke about the strategy then with 1 foot forward, and I'm trying to picture it myself, thinking, nah, for me that wouldn't work. I'm very much get down low but just drag, but I can put 10 kg more than you into that pool, so probably got a little bit more advantage there. So it's almost like playing to your strengths. I know from experience working with you how fast you can burpee, right? And you just said it yourself, right? You beat what second, third, and fourth in the burpees, the lunges, wall balls. I think you were the fastest on the wall balls, right? In
yeah,
Cologne.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
it's almost like playing to your strengths, even like getting more from them. And like you said, not overthinking that sled pull. Because, I think it's really easy to get caught up in that one weakness. What you say your time was 3:30, 3:30,
for the
4:30 for your sled pull, right? Which,
yeah.
so I think that's fast compared to some people, but slow compared to the others. But then, like you said, if you're winning everything else, one thing I like that Tim said on last week's podcast was, I know that I'm not the best at all of the stations, but I know that I'm very good at them. But I'm the best runner, and I want to be the best runner. And he's almost like playing to his strength there, and he's just going to keep working on becoming a faster runner. And it's like adopting a bit of that mentality of where you can, take advantage of what you are really good at, mate. And I know that you fly on burpees. I've seen videos of you, and I've made your compromised burpee test, which is disgusting, which I'm doing tomorrow. Is the amount of burpees that you told me that you did there? I'm just like, how is that even possible? But you've got a knack for it. So I'd be definitely taking advantage of that in that race and try not to think about that sled pull too much. It's kind of even if you did a 4:30 again, but you can improve and get a little bit quicker on the burpees or the wall balls or the running. So yeah, mate, I think it's again mindset, isn't it? Not letting it get to you.
Yeah, and it's a fine line of spending more time improving your weaknesses
Yeah,
versus spending the time to make your strengths even stronger.
yeah,
and that's what you're saying. And I've heard Tim say that before as well. He wants to be the fastest runner in Hyrox, and he's bloody close to that anyway. So
Yeah, I think he pretty much is,
interesting.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Mate, you ever thought about doing doubles? I know we chatted a little bit about it. I know that you're very much into that pro division at the minute, but you ever thought about it? Is something you'd want to do? Is it an itch that you want to scratch?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like next year I'll definitely have a crack at doubles. I know my partner and I might end up doing a mixed doubles at some point. Well, I'm trying to get her to jump on board at some point. But yeah, mate, like I feel like a doubles would be really cool. And I've spoken to my athletes who are doing doubles. Like, it's actually a different race
Completely.
to an individual. And sorry, you're one of them. Like, it's a completely different race, and you can't even necessarily say it's easier, because that it should be more intense. Then the
Way,
intensity is just wrong.
yeah, way more intense. But one thing I would say, mate, I know you said that you really like that suck and that pain cave, but you get that in the doubles, but it's even more fun, for me anyway. Like, everyone's different, but like, it's so fun. You're just there, like, you're working for each other all the time. You can't back off because you've got your teammate there. You're just always working. You're kind of like so accountable if that other person's there waiting. You just got to be, you're just at like redlining for the whole thing. Yeah, mate,
Yeah.
I think you'll love it. I really do. And if you're doing it with Georgie, then I've done it with Danny a couple of times now, and we've loved it both times. And it's, you obviously, as the male in the mixed doubles, you end up taking a little bit more load, but you kind of want to, because you want to give them a breather, you want to give them help, and it's just really nice, like, helping out. And again, it's working using your strengths where you can help, and then almost letting them have a breather for the run. Yeah, mate, it's wicked. It's definitely something that, well, mate, that, like, I'm not sure I'm meant to say this, but the potentially Dubai will happen start of September, is what I'm being told. 2nd of September. I know that High Rocks Australia is happening around August, right? What's the dates for that? End of August? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm sure you're going to want to go and race pro in Australia, right? Hometown, like
Yeah,
home country.
yeah. Sydney, August 12th is locked in. Yeah, and I'm making sure that I'll do everything possible to individually take that one out. But yeah, like, there's High Rocks Melbourne on, I think, the 27th of August, and then obviously Dubai potentially. So, there's races starting straight away for the 23-24 season. So yeah, I'd love to get stuck into a doubles of some description pretty early next year.
Yeah. I think the way Harrods is going, like, some of them are splitting over 2 days. You can almost do both. If you was to if your A race was, say, the pro race, and it's on, say, like the Saturday, but then they did the doubles on the Sunday, I think you can get away with doing both. I did both in Karlsruhe, Germany, a few weeks back, mixed doubles with Danny. And then I did the pro race just to experience it, because I'd never raced the pro race before, and I wanted to see what those sleds felt like, ready for worlds, because they're bumping us up to world weights for the men's doubles. And it's, you can kind of get through. If your A race is the one that you do first, then it's definitely something that's doable. And I think I'd prefer to do like the pro race first and then do a doubles like the next day, because it's just
Yeah.
going the other way around. You're a little bit taxed going, then hitting it alone, on your own. You want to be kind of fresh, like fully fresh for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mate, how's coaching going? How's the? I know I'm in this group with you and all the other athletes, and it's just growing and growing, and I'm seeing more on social, and people are loving it. And most of your client base is based in the UK, or you've got a few guys and girls, right, in Australia as well, or global, right?
Mate, it's fantastic. Like, I'm loving it. It's my first job ever that I wake up so excited to actually get stuck into it. And again, it's only 6 months old.
Yeah,
And I've got my athletes, to me, are like my team now.
yeah,
And mate, yeah, I've got 32 athletes from the UK. I've got 9 from Europe. I've got a couple from other places of the world. I've actually only got 4 athletes from Australia. So
mm,
it's all it's global now, and to me still, and I'm still at a point where I'm able to provide the individual and the specific individual programming, which is great. And I also have my compromise running program that I offer kind of separately. And you know what? I want to make sure that I keep my product as a individual specific coaching service. Not trying to criticize other programming, but I think if you want to get the most out of your training with training for Hyrox, you want to make sure that someone's tweaking the individual the individuality of training. So going in and measuring your progress, going in and having a look at your data from your previous races, making sure that you're getting as specific and as measurable as possible for you as an athlete. Things such as, I've just started a sports nutrition course that hopefully by the end I'll be able to become a sports nutritionist. That will hold me in good stead for my athletes as well. And so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm loving it. Like I'm really enjoying it. And my team's great. I'm just excited to keep progressing it.
You had one of your athletes in Cologne with you, right? One of the guys was racing there. How did that go? What did he do? What was he racing?
He actually did a doubles in the morning, and then about only 3 hours later or something, Robert did a men's open. So
Nice.
he's great, mate. He's working really hard. He's come to the Worlds in his age group, and he'll do really well. We've got I think we got 9 athletes this weekend competing in London.
Nice.
In all categories. So yeah, mate, we're going really well as a team.
It's wicked. How many have you got going to Worlds? Do you know? Number?
14.
Ah,
14
nice.
at this.
Solid
Yeah.
number. Great group
It'll
of
be great,
athletes.
mate.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like I haven't met half of them, so it'll be
Yeah.
really good. It'll be really good to meet everyone, and obviously be there for them
Yeah.
come the World Championship weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I guess you've not been to that venue, and what I can say is that venue with the Hyroxes that I've done, it's definitely the best. I'd say we can go into courses and layouts and what's a fast course and all this, but I would say Manchester in terms of atmosphere and venue itself, it's just beautiful. It's so good. It's the best I've done. I think everyone says the same thing, and I think that's why they chose that venue, because it's just like it looks like a world championship venue. I don't know what Vegas was like. I saw videos, and it didn't look anything that exciting. I know Vegas is meant to be an exciting place, but if you compare it to what this place looks like, it's wicked. The roofing and everything. It's like an old historic building. Really, really cool. When are you flying over to Manchester? You're going to get there early?
Yeah, so I get there on the 16th. So
Nice.
I'm there pretty much like 12 days beforehand. And gonna soak up, I guess, the Manchester vibe. I'm assuming that it's gonna be pumping with Hyrox athletes. I've got a couple of mates and athletes that are from Manchester and whatnot. So and you know what? I've already thought to myself, if I'm in the Elite 15 or not, it doesn't matter to me. Because one, I'm going over there anyway because I'll be racing in my age group, and then I'm there for my athletes and the team, which is super excited as well. So I'm just really excited to get amongst the World Championship type environment. So super excited.
Mate, I'm really looking forward to it. Well, mate, thanks for coming on and chatting, and I'm sure people are going to enjoy listening to that and learning a bit more about you and what you do as an athlete and as a coach, and specifically that mindset stuff we've chatted about. I think that was really interesting, and hopefully that's going to help some people, going into Manchester. Definitely myself. It's something I've been thinking about a lot myself as well. So, mate, again, appreciate your time, and what have you gone for the rest of the day? Training now, or it's late there, right?
Yeah, Georgie and I are about to hit the gym. Then cook some salmon and sweet potato, mate. So
Staying
um,
healthy.
that's me for the day. That's me.
Wicked. But anything else you wanted to chat about? Anything else you wanted to, any shout outs? Shout outs to, do you have any sponsors? Not yet.
No, I don't specifically. No, no. So if there's anyone out there that wants to help a man out, please reach out. JK underscore hybrid training on Instagram. Shout out to Hyrox themselves. They're doing a great job. Love the sport. Love what they're doing. Yeah, we'll chat soon.
Wicked. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for coming on. I'm going to end it. Thanks, man.
Cool, mate.
Cheers.
Talk soon.